Okay. Oh, baby. I love that gong.
The hell was that sound effect?
It was a gong.
Was it? I thought it was like a machete. I was like, what's happening?
Take to my turkey.
Let's slice right through this segment, baby.
I literally thought it was a lightsaber for like 5 seconds.
We'll get there.
But I liked that. Okay, let's go to 3 great Thanksgiving Day matchups. Let's put some of the best head-to-head. It's just what we do. First up, we've got a throwdown of NFC East quarterbacks. Guys, one obviously trying to prove himself after a starter went down. The other looking to make a run and solidify himself into the playoffs. I ask you, gentlemen, who is under more pressure? That is the throwdown. Is it Colt McCoy or is it Dak Prescott?
I'll say Colt McCoy. There's no question about it. Listen, there's no way you can say Colt McCoy is playing with house money, because he's not. He's playing with money that they don't want to give away. They sit there and put themselves in a position where they have the lead in the NFC East, and now all of a sudden Alex Smith goes down. You can't say, oh, well, you know, they had it in their hands and it slipped away because our backup came in. No, he's been in the league for quite some time. He's been a backup, being paid as such to come in situations like this. I don't care if you're a number 1, number 2, or number 3 quarterback. You're starting on a big day like this. You have to go out there and win. I know he's feeling that, and it's okay because this is what dreams are made of, baby. We saw Nick Foles win a Super Bowl last year. We're hearing that Chase Daniels is going to play today. This is what I think when backup quarterbacks come in, we all get shocked. We're like,
Sure.
oh, no. But if a backup receiver plays or backup D lineman or kicker comes in, we're like, oh, this is part of the course. No, this is the same thing that happens in the league. It's just different because the Redskins were sitting there in first place.
Who's got more pressure? Do you know what being America's team's quarterback means? Do you know what that means?
Talk about it, Peter.
It means at 4:30 today, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are going to welcome in America for another year of you on display with a spotlight of Grandma Ida and Aunt Ruth and Cousin Sally, their only game they're watching all season, and you're the quarterback. Last year, I watched Dak Prescott be the quarterback, and the L.A. Chargers ran rampant all over the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott had no answer. Look, they've won 2 games in a row. That's all fine and dandy. You lose this one, you're down 2 games in the standings to the Redskins, and they've beaten you twice in the head-to-head. It might not be such smooth sailing anymore. It's one thing to beat the Falcons. It's one thing to beat the Titans. It's another thing or the Eagles. It's another thing to do it on Thanksgiving Day with a backup quarterback on the other side. It's not like you're losing to Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins. You're losing to Colt McCoy in his first start since 2014. Pressure, Nate? Dak Prescott's under pressure. Go win a game, bud.
This is about winning Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. You got to win the big one. You got to beat the big dogs. You cannot, for the sake of this team, this franchise, and this country, if you're Dak Prescott, cannot be in your home field and lose to a backup quarterback, a great one or otherwise. I don't care if it's Nick Foles. I don't care if it's Tom Brady was a backup. You don't lose at home in Jerry World to a backup. We love the Colt McCoy story. It's great. Reminds me of Del Griffith in the Thanksgiving movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We root for John Candy. We root for Colt McCoy.
You're going the wrong way.
Sure, but as every John Hughes movie always ends with that little sad note at the end, and you find out John Candy's wife ain't around. I feel like it's going to end in a sad note, too, for Colt McCoy because of the Cowboys' defense. Dak, you got to win this one, dude.
Add on the pressure. You get to seize your division. You get to do it in front of your home crowd after your owner came on Good Morning Football and said that you're going to wheel and deal after they make a huge trade to give you a #1 wide receiver in Amari Cooper. And let's not pretend that there's some personal selfish pressure on him as well. He's playing for his next contract.
Sure, he's got to get that extension as well. And in this offseason, they can either re-up Dak or they can say, let's wait for another year, which is just madness for a quarterback.
To your point, there's another twist on it. When you think of Thanksgiving games, Romo name comes up a lot. People think, oh, Tony Romo's had moments.
Yes.
Dak Prescott being a Dallas Cowboy. Now it's your moment, kid.
You don't lose on Thanksgiving in Jerry World to Colt McCoy, unless you do. Next up, let's move on to an NFC showdown of superstar receivers. Falcons, Saints. 2 of the best to do it, guys, this year. You have Julio Jones. He sort of turned things around. They're getting him the ball, especially in the red zone. And Michael Thomas is on a historic, prolific pace. Who do you want with the game on the line? Nate Burleson.
This is the toughest one, you know, because if you say, well, Julio, last year, Eagles, playoffs, and he had a chance, and the ball slipped through his hands. He mistimed the jump. Mike Thomas, who has been unbelievable, lights out. The percentage of completion rate between him and Breeze is phenomenal. And I hate to do this. I hate to do this to Mike. I'm going with Julio. Okay. I'm going Julio because I've seen him do it for longer. And I'm going Julio because he's the league leader in yardage. I'm going Julio because I respect the fact that every game he goes into, there's your best corner on him. There's a safety helping over his top. and there's no way you're going to guard him one-on-one. I'm going with Julio because Calvin Ridley is having a hell of a season as a rookie. So game on the line, yeah. If you want to toss it up to Julio, that's fine. But if you're a smart offensive coordinator, if Julio's not open, there's somebody else who should be wide open.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Julio because of the complete totality of what he brings to the offense, not necessarily the completion percentage rate between him and Matty Ice. I'm going with Julio.
Do you like Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm? I mean, these are like two of the greatest to do it. It's really, you're picking two amazing things.
Yeah.
I'm going with Mike Thomas. And let me explain why. I just feel like Mike Thomas last year in that playoff game, what's lost in the Minneapolis Miracle is that Mike Thomas put on an absolute show and destroyed Xavier Rhodes. Every week, Mike Thomas is adding to this incredible resume. I'm calling him Mike Thomas. He actually likes to go by Michael Thomas, which shows how under the radar he is, that I can actually mistaken his name and no one in America will be like, well, wait a second.
Yeah, it could be Thomas Michael for all they know.
This guy is an anonymous superstar and a teammate of many. We like to give him love on our show. But let's not for a second underestimate how good he is. If I had to do my all-pro vote right now at the receiver spot, I think I'm going with Tyreek Hill in one spot and Michael Thomas as the other. And Julio, who's having a great year with his 4-6 record, is on the outside looking.
Julio and Antonio Brown.
Both of them.
On the outside. I'm not mad at you for that.
No, it's great.
I'm not mad at you.
This year, it makes
Let's
sense.
take this to the backyard because a lot of people are going to go out in the backyard and they're going to have the Turkey Bowl today, okay? We used to have, every year we used to have the Brant Bowl, every year, and every year would either end with a fight, an argument, or an injury. There's only two ways they could end. I'm looking at if these two guys, Julio and Michael Thomas, and I got to guard one of them in the backyard bowl. Julio's the big brother. I mean, he is the big brother, been doing it longer, incredibly imposing. He's been racking wins up in the Turkey Bowl for years. But Michael Thomas is all grown up now, and he's out there with gloves, and he's putting together, and he's got stickum, and he brought cleats. I'm taking Michael Thomas in this thing. I think he is the next big thing on the way up. You know, earlier in the season, he had this battle with Josh Norman, and he destroyed him on the field, and then he destroyed him on Twitter, and we're all like, wow, Josh Norman. He destroys everybody now. That L for Josh Norman has been aging like wine. You should almost have a patch if you get beat.
He passed that L to Marcus Peters the following week.
Passing it around like wine at the table. Mike Thomas wrecks everybody. I get Julio. I respect Julio. But that little brother, he's at in the protein. They have dropped, and he ain't dropping anything. Every pass he catches it. Michael Thomas has arrived. I'm going with
this. This is his bar mitzvah.
This is it, baby. He's an adult.
It's his bar mitzvah, says Peter Schrager. I mean, you have the negative highlights associated with Julio with this. I sucked at math in high school, but I do know that if I have a 90% chance of throwing the ball as Drew Brees to Michael Thomas and he'll catch it, 90% chance that he'll catch it, that's who I'm throwing the ball to. He does it without much help. The reason they got Dez on that team and now Brandon Marshall is because no other receiver had even 12 catches on that team this season outside of him. He's funneling. I said it his rookie year that he's the best raw talent that Drew Brees has ever had to throw to, and I got dragged for it, and I look smart now because he is really turned it up, especially this year with his bar mitzvah.
That was Peter for sure.
I'm not saying anything else about that. Finally, we always do a battle of celebrities in Throwdown Thursday. I've spiced it up and taken it. I Binforded this thing up.
You did?
This is the Binford 5000 of Throwdown Thursday. 3 games today, so I thought I could bring it to a Royal Rumble, all right, featuring a celebrity from each team playing on Thanksgiving. Here's who we got. Meatloaf from Dallas.
Okay.
Ben Stein from D.C. Okay. Jenny McCarthy from The Chi. Carl Weathers from New Orleans. Tom Selleck from Detroit. And Little John, okay.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
So many places to go for me. You know, Little John, not only the great sketch in Chappelle's Show, obviously Ben Stein and Voodoo Economics, Meatloaf, I celebrate his work in Fight Club. Carl Weathers is very important to me, not only for the Rocky movies, but for Predator, for Happy Gilmore, and yet I feel like one of these individuals needs to be singled out, and that is the impact that Miss Jenny McCarthy had on a very adolescent Kyle Brandt. I'm personally not interested these days in telling her what kind of medication I should give my kids. I'll decide that on my own. But back in the day, you could do a hell of a lot worse if you got a couple of co-eds and you're trying to separate, not the highly compromised second version with Carmen Electra. Jenny McCarthy, I had the calendar, I had the cutout, I was a big J-Mac guy. Jenny McCarthy for me.
I put that in there literally as the low-hanging fruit for you to grab. And you did it.
Pluck.
Okay, all right. Jenny McCarthy. I'm going with Carl Weathers. No
Let's hear about it.
Weathers is great.
Oh, okay. Apollo. That's fine. Yeah. That's good. We might remember
What do you mean
him
that's
as
fine? That's good.
Happy Gilmore, that's fine. That's good. I'm cool with that.
Nate, go there.
Action Jackson.
Talk about it.
One of the more underrated kick-ass dudes in movie history. We're talking shirt off, knocking dudes out all movie long.
Nate, can I tell you something? One time Action Jackson throws a guy out of a window so hard that he goes into the next building, he goes into the window, the adjacent building.
Man, we're talking, he's a blend between Shaft, Dolomite, Commando, and all that. So I'm going with Action Jackson, Carl Weathers, one of the greatest to do it.
I love it.
Do you guys know the story of Meatloaf?
Here it comes.
I mean, do you even know what Meatloaf's career is? Meatloaf was living out of a car and calls up Todd Rundgren and says, I've got this amazing concept album called Bat Out of Hell, and no one will produce it. Will you help me? Todd Rundgren, a superstar, says,
Legend.
I got you. Come under my wing. It goes on to sell 43 million copies globally. He was living in a car. Meatloaf is an amazing American dream story, and I'll do anything for love. But I won't do that.
Okay, all right.
Meatloaf in a little runaway.
What was it that he wouldn't do?
He wouldn't do it.
What was it?
I don't want to know.
I do want to know.
I don't want to know what the loaf is up to.
So you're telling me no love from Bueller, Ben Stein,
Yeah, it's good.
Tom Selleck from Detroit, and Lil Jon.
The best mustache ever, Selleck.
Yeah, he taught me how to be cool in the 80s. You know? McCarthy taught me how to feel cool in the 90s. I love it. Check back.
Love Blue Bloods.
Show.
Hey, you put her on the list. We're supposed to talk about her.
We'll be back.
Thoughts on
if you guys gave me $1 million and told me how that would go, I could have picked Carl Weathers, Meatloaf, and Jenny McCarthy.
Surely, Peter. You knew Peter was going to
I knew both of you.
Uses the Phil Rizzuto in the song. It's unbelievable.
We'll be back after this. This is Good Morning Football. We've got the Lions and the Bears score.